Welcome to the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, a weekly broadcast sponsored by CVC Success Group, hosted each week by industry speaker, coach, author, and educator Jerry Eisenhower. Our presentations are produced to assist business owners and managers in turning their business dreams into their business realities. And now, here is your host, Jerry Eisenhower.
And I want to welcome you to another episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. This will be episode number 93. And the title of today's episode is, What Have You Learned? What Will You Implement? Every episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network is sponsored by the CVC Success Group. Keep in mind, what is our mission? To provide the tools to make your business dreams into your business reality. Isn't it time that we had a chat to see if maybe our systems, our processes may be exactly what you need to help you through the challenges you face each and every day in the world of business? So let's move on with our podcast today. You know, as I sit here and I put together this podcast, it's right at 10 weeks since what I call my day of realization. This was the day that I boarded a plane leaving New Orleans at the end of the HPBA show, which is an annual convention and trade show for the hearth, venting, and chimney industries. And it was really a shock later to find out that the building we were in, having this large trade show, would be turned into a field hospital for the city of New Orleans. So what's happened since that time? Let's face it, it's been 10 weeks of confusion, 10 weeks of frustration, 10 weeks of people looking for government programs such as grants, PPP loans, and disaster loans. This was endured often where we saw changes happening, not every month, not every week, not even every day, but often the changes were coming at us every hour, it seemed like, through this period. As we look at business today in this new world we've now been presented with, or as my friend and mentor Randy Pennington calls it, the new next, we see steps today that have to be taken that only a short 10 weeks ago, no one had any idea that we would be focusing on these type of things. How did we know that the focus on safety would change from fall protection, using roofs, and instead move to virus protection, of sanitation, of washing our hands, of wearing respirators, of putting on a mask, of coming up with totally new ways to mingle with our clients in their homes? For those of us who travel for a living, it's also been 10 weeks of significant change. Airline travel is down. It's estimated at 94%. Today, as I record this, the estimated unemployment figures are at 40 million. And we now hear a new word to describe the state of mind we're often in, which is called zoomed out. Because of so many Zoom meetings we've had, we often commonly felt zoomed out because we've zoomed in so much. Even industry trade shows and conventions became online conventions and virtual trade shows. As I mentioned a while ago, today's unemployment is estimated at 40 million individuals. And there are businesses across America that are suffering due to the shutdown of the economy in their markets. Now, you may not be feeling this, or you may be feeling it. Another economic factor that's hitting a lot is the lower cost of oil, which has hit some market areas dramatically, while others look at the lower cost of gas as a gift from above. And over the past 10 weeks, some in our industry have suffered immensely, while others are reporting record sales and profits right now today. We also see where regulations in some states are even extremes. And in others, it seems like the COVID-19 virus quite simply never existed there. So, what does this point us to today as business owners? One is we need to fully understand the economics of our own areas of business practice. What's affecting business where we are? During the most recent crisis, the issue of doing business in the New York State or Pennsylvania areas, they were vastly different from the way business was done in Kansas, Alabama, Oklahoma, or other similar states. Even today, while wearing a mask as I record this is common in some areas, In other areas, you hardly see anyone wearing a mask. And the differences are much more than that. If you're an energy producing state such as Texas, the world is much different as they're being hit very hard due to unemployment due to oil industry layoffs. You see, again, it comes down to us as business owners. We must understand the needs of our own markets, and we must understand the customers of our markets. And just as business changes in different regions, so does the needs of the individual markets and the customers of a different demographic. In our business, we hear the frustrations of these different regions on an ongoing basis because the people that do business in these various regions work with us as clients. They're in our coaching practice. We gear our services to the unique needs of each of those individuals. There's no one size fits all for everybody. And that's where I want you as a business owner to look. What works in other markets may not be your magic beanstalk. What's your business goal? What's your perfect business? And as my friend Eleanor has often said in a lot of her presentation, what makes for your perfect day? You see, the perfect day for each of us is going to be different because we envision it differently as our perfect day, not as what another says it should be. And as I go through these thoughts that I have today, it takes me to words that I said last month. In articles and in publications, I wrote the words, "Did you waste the crisis?" That was last month when the crisis was going on. And many did waste the crisis. But today I got two important questions for you. Number one is, what did you learn from the crisis that we're coming out of the curve of? And number two, what will you implement in your business as you move through and out of this curve? You see, this is what great minds often do. They use the experience of pain and take the lessons they've learned from pain to construct a path to move to a much higher level that will lead them to be better prepared for future episodes of chaos in their life. And that's what we have to be aware of. There may well be future episodes of chaos. And what we need to be able to do is take the lessons we learned as tuitions and use that to prepare for the next crisis that may hit at any time. So, it brings the question to you. What did you learn? What will you do as you move forward? What will you do? I've got a couple of questions I want to ask you and think about this. As you look back, think of back earlier over that 10-week period before it began. Do you realize that you were running down a road at record speed? That business was booming. Everything was good. No one was predicting what was getting ready to happen in the middle of March when a virus decided to unleash itself on the world. You were running down a road. You were traveling at breakneck speed, and all of a sudden, the largest pothole that you can imagine loomed right in front of you. So what'd you do? You put on the brakes, hopefully in time that you didn't cave into that pothole. So here's the questions for you that I think are vastly important to ask ourselves each and every day now. What did this crisis reveal about the culture of your workforce? What did you learn about your own people? Question number two, did this crisis reinforce on you the need for a budget that includes placing funds into a reserve fund, where if there's a future crisis such as this, will you have the reserve funds to make it through it? What did the crisis reveal about your workforce? What did the crisis reveal about your own fears? And lastly, what was the most significant pain you underwent? And more important than that, what did this teach you? See, what you need to do is use this past 10 weeks as a form of tuition to build yourself and your business to a higher level. Often, as we look at life and what we go through, it is pain that makes us see the benefit of going through the pain of required changes. It takes us being in pain. We have to make our decision that the pain of the change is not as bad as the present pain we're in. And likely, some of the lessons and changes will result in pain. If we're going to make the changes that we know we need to do, it may involve some pain to get those done. So those are Jerry's thoughts here as we end up after a 10-week period of life that's probably been like no other in our lives. Again, remember how it was. We were rocking and rolling down the highway of a superhighway of business. All was good. At the same time, we know that economies change. And we have rode a record-setting almost 130 months of continuous growth, almost 130 months of being better and better and better. And all of a sudden, everything changed. The way we did business changed. The way we look forward is changing. And we're looking at things much harder and much stronger than we ever did in the past. You see, that's what you as a business leader has to do. Look past at what we went through in these 10 weeks. You've probably paid heavy tuition at points. You probably paid tuition monetarily, emotionally, and mentally during this period. So again, it goes back to the title of this episode this month. What have you learned? What have you learned? And what will you implement based on what you've learned? Because if you do those things, if you answer those questions honestly and put together your path and the changes that you need to make in yourself and your business, the tuition you paid will not be wasted. It's going to build a better business and it will build a better you. And with that, I appreciate you joining me here again today on the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. This is Jerry Eisenhower with CBC Success Group. Let us know how we can help you take your business dreams and turn them into your business realities. Talk to you next time. Appreciate you joining me as always.
Thanks for joining us here each week at the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, sponsored by CVC Success Group, providing you the coaching and educational outreach services you need to move to your dream destination in business and in life.